Hi, this is Brenda Metcalf, and I'm with the Environmental Education Council of Ohio, and we are doing another Eco Career Chat. And today I have Barbara Ray with me. Barbara, would you like to talk about what you do and what your job title is?
Sure. So I am the Nature Education Coordinator for the City of Dublin, Ohio. And my job encompasses most of the wildlife management activities in the city, as well as education programming related to nature and environmental concerns or projects going on in the city.
Fabulous. So do you need a degree to do your job? And if so, what is that degree?
Probably not necessarily requiring a degree, although the job description did require a four-year degree at the time. I think employers like the city that are more public service oriented are really looking for a certain type of person with a good attitude, a positive attitude, hardworking, obviously, with integrity and good people skills. And so if someone has equivalent experience in, say, like wildlife rescue or animal management of some kind, or other environmental teaching type activities, then I don't think the four-year degree would necessarily be required. So there's a lot of ways folks get a lot of experience, and to be quite honest, my degree is in animal science, which probably was great at the time when I got my first job at the Columbus Zoo. But for this job as a public educator or naturalist and wildlife manager, that's not my degree at all, but I've had 30 some years of experience doing those things through some of my other jobs and volunteer activities. And I think that's really what qualified me for this job now.
So was there a moment in high school or a class in high school that gave you an aha moment that you knew that would put you on this environmental path?
Well, I knew from the time I was about 4 years old, I wanted to go into some kind of wildlife rescue or training or teaching. And when I was a child out in California, I used to rescue tarantulas off the roadways. And my parents would be driving and I would see a spider on the road, and cars would swerve to hit them because people were scared of them. And I would beg them to stop so we could get them off the road, and they were fine with that. And so I kind of knew from a young age I really wanted to go into veterinary medicine, and I did end up in vet tech and working as a volunteer with wildlife rehabilitation. So I've been doing that since 1981, and I kind of got my animal wildlife medicine fix doing that as a volunteer. But when I got my first professional job at the Columbus Zoo, I realized, wow, I really like teaching about these animals because people really need to understand animals a little better, and that I could help animals by helping people learn more about them and the interdependence of the environment and habitats and our flora and fauna. So my career path jogged a little bit at the very beginning, and no, I did not expect to end up as a full-time professional naturalist, so to speak, and that was not my original goal, but it became a passion in that roundabout way. And I always recommend to young people, whatever your passion is, don't give up on that, obviously, but understand you might take a little circuitous route to get there, and that's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I learned a lot of different skills along the way doing that.
So what is your daily schedule like?
My days are all different, which is one thing I love about the job. Some days I may be doing a little bit more administrative work, catching up on phone calls and emails. Essentially, my job is a little bit like a wildlife environmental hotline. So if people in the city have questions, like I have a skunk under my porch or a bat in the attic, or we saw this fox in our backyard, should we do anything about that? Or my neighbor's dog is coming into my yard and going to the bathroom, and how do I stop that? So it's a little bit of a public hotline. And then I also write a lot of material for both online and in order to be able to email out information to people about a species they're having questions about. And we call it our Living with Wildlife series. So it'll be like living with foxes or living with coyote or, and a lot of safety things like tick safety. So obviously Lyme disease is a little more of a concern in Ohio now than ever before, with new tick species really blooming. So we want people to know how to properly remove them by pulling them off rather than trying to put nail polish on them or something that's going to upset the tick. You don't want to distress a tick because it will release all that saliva into the little bite wound. That's how you get Lyme disease. So if you just pull them off, then you don't have to worry about, getting infected. So a lot of things like that. I produce materials. I create a lot of props. So in order to teach, especially young people, I might have to design some different props to show or demonstrate how something in nature works. And one of my favorite ones is about birds. And birds have a unique airway system that involves air sacs up in their chest and in their abdomen. And so you've probably heard how birds, when they migrate, they might fly several thousand miles, and they may fly for days and days without stopping. Well, the way they can do that without lactic acid buildup is they're breathing in and out 4 times for every one of our breaths in and out. And so they're always clearing lactic acid. And what I'll do is I have 2 balloons, and I have a little kind of a cardboard lung, it looks like a lung, and then I have a little cardboard air molecule. And so I'll have 3 kids come up front and hold the 2 balloons and the lung in the middle, and then we walk the air molecule through this process. And really what I've learned over the years is if you plan material for a preschooler, you can teach any age, because most adults have no clue how that works either. And so if they can visualize it, then it's easier to understand. And so I'm very creative, and it's a creative outlet for my art. I like to do art on the side too, and just for fun. And so that's another aspect I love about my job is I can use a lot of my avocational talents in my professional work.
Is there a part of the position that you don't really like?
The harder parts are when you have to kind of deliver the bad news to people. So there's wildlife, especially if skunks get under a deck or something, that can be really problematic, because if they spray, it's very difficult to get that scent out from under your house. And so I'll teach people how to evict the skunk, but if they don't want to put the time or money into underwiring the deck, then another animal might move in, including another skunk. So, and there are situations where someone will call and they have a huge concern about coyotes they saw in their neighborhood, and they may not want to hear that really there isn't anything to worry about. But we do track certain wild animals, so we know where they are and where they're active in case there is a situation. But so yeah, kind of having to give someone biology they don't necessarily want to hear is not as fun part of the job, but it's also part of the educational effort. And really, a lot of people just need somebody to listen to them and listen to how they feel about something. And so I can use those people skills to kind of turn them around and help them understand the wildlife are here too, they're neighbors, and they're not out to get us. So.
Good point. So is there something that you know now that you really wish you had known in high school?
I'm not sure that this was available when I was in high school, but nowadays there are amazing hands-on internships, both in zoos and in wildlife rehab, probably even at dog kennels, where you can get a lot of life experience with animals under a mentorship of whoever you're working with. And I could never find anything like that for anybody under age 18 when I was growing up. But I know at the Ohio Wildlife Center, when I worked there, we had a program for 11-year-olds and up. So you could be 11 years old and come in and learn how to handle some turtles and woodchucks and some hawks and owls. and how to clean and feed them. And if I could have gotten that hands-on husbandry experience when I was that age, I would have just been in heaven. So I don't know if that existed, but I wish I'd known if it existed when I was that age. And some programs aren't going to allow young people in because of liability. And of course, now with COVID, kids are really limited in what they can do in person. But I would encourage kids to really research or network and mentor with professionals in the fields they're interested in, because there's a lot of things out there that you can get connected with, even online or remote, that are just things that, I guess I think of kids who are passionate about playing video games online. Well, there's actually professional, learning and experiences also online. And if that's your passion, you can get your fill of that during this pandemic period where in-person might be more limited.
Now, does your organization offer any kind of volunteer opportunities or shadowing opportunities?
We do. We have volunteers for pretty much all ages. And we have internships, and we also have shadow experiences, and all of those things are scheduled through the outreach and engagement department of the City of Dublin. And if folks go to the City of Dublin website and look under outreach and engagement tab, all of the information and applications online are available there, or they can also call us directly to ask questions about those programs. But yes, we have a wide range of projects in my field and in nature and parks and horticulture going on, where our volunteers are really critical. And then of course there's the big events like the Dublin Irish Festival. And I have park ambassador volunteers who work a lot with me. We have a bluebird trail, so we have people of all ages monitoring bluebird boxes throughout the city. And those bluebird data gets recorded both with the Ohio Bluebird Society and Cornell, and so these are. We also have a water quality monitoring group, and they go out and test dissolved oxygen and temperature and some things in the water that we utilize that data to monitor the quality and cleanliness of all the waterways in the city.
You have a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, and
So
in my programs directly, so I might be doing a hike or a gardening class, and I always need volunteers to help either teach some of the stations or to at least help with the materials and getting those things out. And we actually did some live programming this year despite the pandemic, because outside we can really spread out. So if I have some volunteers helping, we can sometimes do outdoor programming if I have some other people teaching. And obviously if people are interning or shadowing and they're going to actually help with a project, they're going to get the training and the skill set that goes with that. So if they're going to do the tick removal demonstration, they're going to get to learn those skills so that they can then pass it on. And one of the best ways to learn, as we all know, is to do something yourself. So you can learn a skill, but until you teach it to someone else, it may not really be all the way sealed in.
good point. So we will actually be putting your contact email on our website. So if a student has more information about what you do, they'll be able to get a hold of you, or if they'd like to get information about how they can actually volunteer within your facility or your organization. So are there any last bits of advice or tidbits of information that you would like to share?
Sure. This is just me because I'm a happy person, but what I've learned, even already being a very positive person, is that I think the human condition is we're always seeking happiness, and really if kids learn that they need to follow their passion, they're going to find a lot of that happiness. Since we spend a lot of our lifetime hours at work or doing work or thinking about work, you really want to do something you love. So finding something to do that you are almost anxious to get up in the morning to get to it. And I've been doing this kind of work for about 40 years, and I still every day wake up like, oh, I can't wait to get to work today because I have so much to accomplish. So those are some keys to, sometimes parents influence us, right? Like, oh, I don't think you should go into that because that's not a lucrative career. Kids may have to, if their parents are going to pay for college only if they go to school for architecture, you know, they may have to do that, but then as soon as they got their degree, they can kind of start turning the corner to something they love. So we have to work with all the people in our lives too that are advising us. But in the end, we really just have to go with what's in here and don't be afraid to self-empower to do that. And some of us are more advantaged or disadvantaged to get to where we want to be, whether financially or family limitations or life limitations. But I always tell people, don't ever give up on your dream. Dream big, and then set as realistic a course as you can to get to those goals. Another thing that is really helpful in life in general is always being aware of your expectations of yourself and of others' expectations, because some of the primary reasons why we ever have disappointment or frustration is because expectations weren't met. So if we get those out on the table up front, that is really the best way to succeed at a job or even a personal relationship. Think about, things that make you happy or sad in a relationship. Is an expectation was met or it wasn't met. So, and being able to communicate. We really have to learn how to be good communicators with those in our lives, whether it's our profession or our personal life. But yeah, I think if young people follow their heart, they're gonna really enjoy this journey in life.
Good advice. Thank you so much. So Barbara, again, we will be putting your email on our website so that students can get in touch with you if they have more questions. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.